Australians warned to stay away from Egypt as the clock ticks down towards military intervention.
Well, we're very alarmed by the extremely tense situation in the whole of Egypt.
Edward Snowden running out of places to hide as more nations reject his appeal for asylum.
In defence of whaling, Japan opens its case at the International Court of Justice.
And Australia's team wins again, taking out the Stage 4 time trial of the Tour de France.
Pressure this morning is building on Egypt's President Mohamed Morsi as the army's ultimatum to intervene in the political crisis looms. Australian travellers are being told to stay away from Egypt as large crowds again flock to Cairo's Tahrir Square ahead of that deadline.
Mr Morsi has been locked in talks with the head of the army and 6 of his ministers have now resigned. There are reports the army is now threatening to suspend the constitution and dissolve parliament if a resolution isn't found.
Emerging details of what the military's been considering are perhaps not surprising, but they are a demonstration of just how big the stakes are here, especially for the president's Islamist supporters in the Muslim Brotherhood. Suspending the constitution, which they successfully amended at a referendum to give it a more Islamist flavour, dissolving the parliament, which they've dominated, and then holding fresh elections to replace the president, Mohamed Morsi. During the day, military attack helicopters have continued to circle over Tahrir Square as a show of support for the protesters. But here, just across town at Cairo University, Mr Morsi's supporters in the Muslim Brotherhood and other organisations have been outraged by what they've heard. Their spokesmen have said that if necessary, people may need to lay down their lives to protect the government against a military coup. Matt Brown, ABC News, Cairo.
And we're getting more on that unfolding situation in Cairo a bit later this hour. Let's take you to other news now. And the fugitive intelligence worker Edward Snowden is fast running out of options in his bid for political asylum. India has joined 8 European nations in rejecting his plea for refuge. Mr Snowden has now withdrawn his asylum request to Russia after President Vladimir Putin said he'd have to stop leaking secrets. WikiLeaks says Mr Snowden has sent asylum requests to 21 countries. Japan has begun defending its whaling program at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. Australia is challenging the whale hunt, arguing it has nothing to do with science. Lawyers for Japan have rejected Australia's claim it's done for commercial reasons. Japan is arguing the court doesn't have jurisdiction to rule on the dispute. Members of Nelson Mandela's family have laid a criminal complaint against his grandson Mandla in that feud over grave sites. A South African court has upheld a ruling ordering the remains of 3 of Mr Mandela's children be returned to his ancestral village. Mr Mandela's grandson allegedly moved the graves to his own village without the family's permission back in 2011. At least 31 people have been killed in Iraq in a wave of bombings across the country. 9 explosions were reported in busy markets and shopping areas across the capital, Baghdad. Shiite Muslims were also targeted in bombings in the country's south. Hundreds have died in recent months in Iraq amid a resurgence of sectarian violence. And former federal and state Liberal stalwart Michael Hodgman will be honoured at a state memorial service in Hobart this morning. The 74-year-old died last month after a long battle with emphysema. Former Liberal Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser will be among the mourners at the service. Mr Hodgman's political career spanned 44 years. He served in both houses of the Tasmanian Parliament before switching to federal politics in 1975. Let's see what the markets have been up to overnight. A few moments ago, the Dow was down 67 points. We'll bring you that closing figure shortly. London's FTSE fell 4. The Australian dollar's buying 91 US cents. Tapis crude's trading at $109 US a barrel. And gold is worth $1,240.
And thank you, Michael. Mostly cloudy, cloud-free under a very strong high-pressure system that we have at the moment. Now, this high is directing the odd shower onto Queensland's southeast coast and gusty winds into the north. It's also pushing a series of cold fronts further south, so missing most of the mainland. Now, this one today is steering strong westerly winds and showers across Tasmania. Another cold front is bringing cool showery winds about Western Australia's west and south coast. Tomorrow, we'll see that cold front from the west moving over towards the southeast, bringing a cold, wet and windy change to southern South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. In Queensland today, clearing showers near the southeast coast, chilly in the south, some areas waking to a frosty morning, cloudy but fine in the east, dry and sunny in the west, 26 degrees in Longreach. In New South Wales, later on this morning, a low pressure trough will Norfolk Island with gale force northeasterly winds and heavy rain. Those conditions will ease this afternoon, clearing showers in the northeast, but there's still minor flood warnings for the Wilsons River and at Lismore and Richmond. In Victoria, foggy in the north and morning drizzle in the northeast. A mostly sunny day ahead, but tonight and tomorrow the winds will strengthen around Gippsland, the southwest and north central areas. There's already a severe warning for those regions. In Tasmania, there is a flood watch for western river basins. Areas of rain in the west and showers extending across the rest of the state. 16 degrees a top in Hobart. In South Australia, cold inland, there is a frost warning for the mid-north and Riverland. Mostly fine with moderate north to northwesterly winds and strong winds about the coast. Western Australia, showers along the coast and adjacent inland from around Geraldton to the southern coastal district. Perth 18 degrees and a few showers around the Pilbara and Gascoyne, otherwise dry with easterly winds in the northwest and gusty winds about the top end. They'll ease this morning, 29 degrees in Darwin. Tomorrow, sunny again in Sydney, a late change expected in Melbourne, heading for 16 degrees and a windy day for Adelaide, 17.